Greetings, everyone. It's been a long time, as it always is, between videos. I have been tasting things. I just haven't been recording them because usually I look like this when I'm doing tastings. Bed hair, odd cat, teacup shirt, pajamas, not shaven. The whole nine. I decided to record this though because it was three teas that there there isn't much story behind any of them other than the invoice difference. The main story is between the three collectively and around the time when they were produced. These come from the Rohini Garden in Darjeeling, part of the Gopaldhara group. I've covered them many times over the last couple of years. This time is a little different because of not only the tumult regarding uh, t- plucking seasons within a pandemic lockdown, when to get things out, how to get things out, and of course playing with techniques therein. Now, usually with Darjeeling Gardens, they don't do any real playing around with recipes until the autumn because there's plenty of time to do it, and there's really not much else to do with the leaf besides prune them back. This time, though, there wasn't much of a first flush. Rohini had more of a first flush than other gardens because they're a lower lying Darjeeling garden. Thus, they usually are able to start producing, and the plants are usually ready to go as early as late January or February. Now, usually when they do pluckings in January, those don't really count as a first flush. Some of us jokingly call that a courtesy flush. But this time, they were able to get out or move enough product to at least get something of a first flush product out to international vendors worldwide. There wasn't much, and it was very highly priced, but for the most part, not much. They were able to produce for most of February, a little bit of March. Then India had their nationwide lockdown, and then there was nothing going on besides tending to the bushes until May. Now, usually second flush, depending on the garden, begins around mid to late May. I don't know the exact times because I've not actually visited any gardens in Darjeeling, West Bengal, India proper. But I would think that Rohini usually begins in late May anyway, or sorry, early to mid May anyway. But this time it was right after the lockdown, and they were starting to at least open back up for agricultural production nationwide. And so not only did they have to do the tend back and so on, but some of these plants had been resting for most of the first flush season. So they played with a technique a little bit by not messing around with them when usually bugs are happening about and doing their leaf biting thing. Yeah, a little known fact, the reason why Darjeeling teas in the summer have that muscatel note is usually due to some aphid action going there. Kind of similar to the Oriental Beauties. Now, instead of trying to scale that back, for a few of their invoices, they decided to lean in on that profile since they were now trying to produce stuff pre the usual time for second flush and after not much of a first flush, and the leaf material is wasn't pruned back after. So they decided to make something that kind of looks like an Oriental Beauty. Now, I did link to the Gopaldhara website below, and they do have oolongs available that were made like this around the same period of time of different invoices, but these three invoices aren't featured. I believe they were only available for wholesale purchase, but I'm featuring them here anyway. The others are an RT designation for their invoicing. These were EX designations. and the emphasis was placed on their honey profile. And the leaf material, of which I'll provide pictures on my Instagram, looked like an Oriental Beauty. I mean, we're talking mostly mid-oxidized leaves with bud material. Didn't look like a first flush. The first flushes usually are green leaf with bud material. Second flushes, no bud material, all leaf, haphazard, 70% oxidation rates or therein. But this looked like an Oriental Beauty. They didn't have any of the like regular like oolong bruising techniques that were employed, and a lot of it is cut material, not just whole leaf material. Although there is some whole leaf material in them, but for the most part, emphasis on bug bitten, emphasis on the honey profile, and similar leaf material used for. Excuse me, I was saying that politically incorrectly. Eastern beauties, Dongfang Mei Rens, basically kind of like the similar process used for that, although without the kill green or typical oolong bruising process like employed in Taiwan. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into it. EX14 was the invoice for this, EX36 was the invoice for this, and EX37 was the invoice for this. EX14. Palate cleansing water. Pear. I'm getting a lot of pear off of that, or at least a sliced pear dipped in honey. Definitely strong on the honey profile. Bit of an astringent kick on the back. Oh yeah, I brewed these for about 2 minutes each. I mean, I think I could have dialed that back a bit, given the style that they were, but I decided to just kind of treat them like a normal first flush or second flush, although I usually go about 3 minutes on those. So I did dial it back a bit. EX36. Tastes closer to a second flush, more muscatel than fruity. Honey on the back end. Slight astringent tickle. For the record, I like that astringent tickle. .37 is the closest to a second flush, on being almost just pure muscatel with a honey texture, but not as much emphasis on the honey bit and more on the grapey bit. None of these actually taste like Oriental Beauties, Eastern Beauties, but I can see where there are some similarities to other bug-bitten teas out there, given the honey emphasis. They're not nearly as sweet as other bug-bitten teas, but I think that has more to do with the usual Darjeeling processing as opposed to anything else. Doesn't mean I don't like them. Wow, I was unusually silent there for a few seconds. That's a good sign. Yeah, I do get the, now that I've tasted all three of them in a train, you get a similar raw honey top note in all of them. Even though as you go further down the line with the later invoices, given that they were probably produced at in sequential order in later periods of time. The darker they get, the darker the liqueurs get, obviously, and the more closely they resemble regular second flushes, the further on down the line they get. They're definitely within my wheelhouse. I like them.